Welcome to the second standalone installment of Life in Bali. I'm DC Buba of Cuke Archives and Cuke Audio. And I'm here with Doggett Bandita and Feline Cuchita, but without dearest Katrinka, who's in America, and there just ain't no planes flying here for a while. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable and can get out and do what you want within the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. That's sort of what's happening here. As I've been saying every week, there's not a lot of virus around that we know of, but there was, when I looked at the online, I saw the death count had gone up from 4 to 5. And that's the first addition to that. I don't know how long, month or 6 weeks or I don't know. But when I looked into it, it looked to me like it was somebody from earlier that just hadn't been counted. And I asked Nyoman, the driver who I saw today, I asked him if there was. I said, "Well, is there much virus here?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know anybody who's gotten it?" No. Is anybody in your area where you live? Have you heard of anybody having it? No. Have you heard anything about it? No. Right. It's all just from the news, like me. So, and same here. I don't see how that can continue, but and we talked about how it's a mystery, and how I said some people here, I just know local people will be thinking it's because of their ceremonies and protective deities, and he agreed, and I didn't put it down. I said, I don't know, maybe so. People can get out. There are some restrictions, which I've mentioned before, but I don't notice any, except we can't go to the beach, which is pointless, but I guess not for some groups who want to go in mass or something, but nothing like that happens here. Even when it's busy, you could easily have distancing because it never gets that busy around here. But anyway, it's like, we have to wear a mask when we go out. And, but there's places open. A lot of them are closed, but there's places open. Bandi started shedding. And I've never seen dog hair on the floor or around before. I really like that about our dog and cat is that we don't have a lot of hair around. But because Katrinka's gone, and I guess because of the virus, I haven't been sending her to the Bali kennel, which Nyoman and I call Hotel Anjing, Anjing's dog. And it is a wonderful place. Oh my gosh. It's owned by a Swiss guy named Alan. And it is clean and spacious enough, and has an area for small dogs and large dogs. And Bandi likes to be with both, but I think she prefers the big dogs, and they let her go in with the big dogs. They say she's, she can hold her own with them, and she has, I don't know about now because they have turnover, and they have a lot of people like us who just send a dog there for a play day sometime. I sent her there for an overnight and a grooming, like sending her to 2 days of camp. And listen, it is so cheap and so high quality. I would never even consider sending a dog to a kennel in America. But it's like, she was there 2 days. Mine came and picked her up at 9:30 in the morning yesterday. And then he came and got me, because I wanted to do some things. He picked me up, and I went with him, and we picked her up at 3:30, and that cost, with the grooming, about $10, including the overnight. And they gave me a very nice invoice, too. BK, they have a logo with 2 dogs in it. Bali Kennel. Listen to this. I'd never read this before. Bali Kennel, Pet Resort and Salon. Wow. And, she doesn't hang out with the dogs all the time. She has her own area to sleep in. And if it's rainy, then they'll put her in there. It's like a nice caged-in area, and they have a number of them. But listen, on the bill, it says room charges. Room number, standard dog 1. Package, standard dog single. Check-in, they have a check-in, 3 June 2020, check-out, 4 June 2020. And then so that adds up to 70,000. And then items, number 1. Grooming regular, small dog, quantity 1, price 80,000, grand total 150,000. And it's really nice. I assumed there was stuff like that all over, but what I've learned is that we're really lucky to be living near it. There are some other kennels, but this is supposed to be the best one, and it's in Sonora where we live. It's a 15-minute ride from here, but it's so nice. And they really love Bandi. Now, maybe they say this to all the dog owners, but I swear, well, Alan's Swiss, and he doesn't make things up. He just loves her. And so do the staff. I mean, and he says he has a dog very much like her. She's part Pomeranian. But he said Bandi is cuter and nicer. They just love her. He tells me that every time. So we picked Bandi up, and then I went to Warung Kecil. Warung's like a small eating place, but Warung and Kecil means small. Warung, I don't know what's the difference between it and a restaurant. If they're larger, they'll use the word restaurant. But Warung Kecil is really nice. It has local food, and it has salads, and it is very small. And you can go inside and eat if you want. They have the distancing. There's not room for many people in there. And they have 2 tables outside and front. And I just went there to see if they had Berkadel, which are like corn fritters. Oh, God, theirs are the best. And then they didn't. They were out because I went there at like 4 in the afternoon. And I got some food to go, some tempeh. They fry tempeh like with a little honey, and it's like such a treat. Just a little. It's not real sweet. I had it for dinner tonight. I had this food to go, and I was thinking, how would I describe this tempeh thing? I think they call it tempeh goreng. Goreng means fried. And it's of the consistency of grape nuts. That's what it reminded me of, because it's very small pieces, and they're a little bit hard, crunchy. Crunchy's the word. And then I started thinking about grape nuts. Wow, I haven't thought about grape nuts in a long time. I always thought that was so interesting. That was our favorite packaged cereal when I grew up. And my mother's and mine. I can't speak for my sister. I don't remember. But I always thought it was so interesting that it had neither grapes nor nuts. I do not understand why. Let me look. Okay, thanks to the modern miracle called the internet, which is destroying society. But I love it. I have found why it's called grape nuts. Post, who created grape nuts, Post grape nuts, it says he believed that the glucose formed in the baking process, which he called grape sugar, believed. So that plus the nutty flavor. Grape nuts, cool name, huh? So in the little bunkus, or the wrap that I got to go, there was the tempeh goreng. There was a tofu dish, and it was with some sort of sambal, which is like their salsa. It was cooked in that. And it was a little bit tough, which I like with tofu. You know, it forms the skin. And then there were 2 vegetable dishes. They're all very well made, you know, like homemade, but not homemade because they're made there. Anyway, and then they're put very nicely in a little hard paper box with the banana leaf on the bottom. And that cost about $1.75. And that, plus a little brown rice I had here, was my dinner. And I don't get food from out much, so it was a real treat to me. I eat a little more simply than that. But yeah, so it was like, to me, it was like getting a fancy meal from out. And I didn't take their rice because I make brown rice here. And they were out of red rice, which is a type of brown rice, I guess, except it's sort of reddish brown. And you never see, well, only in some hippie place or New Age type place will you see brown rice. But you see red rice sometimes. And then we went to the pantry, which is sort of an upscale place for food that caters, I see Indonesians in there, but it caters to Westerners. Like maybe Whole Foods level, but very small. And I just got some stuff. I got some tahini, which is made with unhulled sesame seeds, brown sesame seeds, and some of their peanut butter, which is very good. It's not as good as the Bali Buddha peanut butter, or the Bali Buddha sesame butter, but the Sonora Bali Buddha closed. But I could order it. They'd bring it over, and they'd send it over with Gojek, and I might, because the sesame butter especially, I like to have a little of that, and a little peanut butter less, like with an apple or a carrot, or on a cracker sometimes. That's one of my treats. So I get that. I got 3 tubs of yogurt, and that's plain good yogurt, whole, not low fat, with no sugar, and some bananas. And I can get bananas down the street cheaper from Mate, but they had them. They weren't that much more. Free range eggs and a few other. They got a whole big. I got a whole big shopping bag. We have cloth shopping bags here. Oh, really big one, just full of stuff. There was heavy, and it wasn't. I think it might have been cheaper than if I was shopping at Whole Foods in America. It wasn't. It was like $35 spent there, and some of the things just look so expensive when I see them. But I'll only go to a place like that like once a month or twice a month. There's three different ones I go to, and they're good. They're really good. And I pray they all stay open, because you never can depend on your favorite place staying open here. But they've been open, all three of them, since we arrived. So that's the pantry on Temblingen, Club Seance Health on the bypass, which is a co-op, and there's other Club Seance around, even on other islands, I hear. And it is a good place to get bulk. And Satvika Boga, run by a couple of Pakistani Hindus from Jakarta, born in Jakarta, but of that descent. And it's a wonderful place. But we did lose Bali Buddha, but we can still order, because there's one in Ubud and there's one over in Kerobokan. So I'm sitting back with my mask on. He's got one of these like Volkswagen buses that are opening back. And, normally I'd sit up front with him and we chat, but I'm sitting back and we chat, and Bandi sits with me. I hold on to the leash because if she can't control herself if she sees a cat. As long as she doesn't see a cat or a duck, chickens somewhat, but ducks, wow, she just leaps at them. So, she'd leap out of the car. So I always hold the leash. I mean, it's unlikely we'll see a duck, but we could see a cat. That was a nice little trip. I don't get out much. I mean, Katrinka's been gone 2.5 months. That's the fourth time I've gone out with Nyoman to do some shopping, and that was just two little places that are fairly nearby. Not much of an accident report this week, but there was an accident, but it was rather minor. I work in 6 different places in the house, and I was moving. I had sat up and worked in the bed a little, which is unusual. I usually do that at the end of the day, but it was raining and it just felt cool, and so I was moving from there, just right through a screen door there, to the settee outside on the porch. And so I had my computer, my iPhone, the mouse, and a little notebook. Right. So I had that many things. And I get to the screen door, and, I just, put my hand with the mouse and the iPhone, push it, and the mouse slipped out. And it fell to the floor. And I went, oh, God, David, you shouldn't be carrying things like that. You have to be careful. I am dependent on my mouse. Because why? Because my touchpad is out. But I've dropped it before, but every time I drop it, I go, look, carry things like the Japanese do, like you're carrying an expensive teacup, both hands, one thing at a time, or. So I go down and I sit there, I'm berating myself, And I look at it, and it sort of cracked open, and it didn't work. And I could get it to work a little, but not enough. So I was going, oh, Lord. And, I panicked. And Nyoman had just picked Bandi up. And so I called him and went, Nyoman. And I'd already told him, don't come back till tomorrow, later on. I panicked and went, Nyoman, maybe you should come back. I have to get a mouse. And he knows what a mouse is. Then I called Mac Dewada and asked them, and they said they didn't have it. And then I realized, well, of course, that's Mac. And so I have PC computers. And then I went, oh, yeah, of course, Untung. He's my tech guy. Why? It was because I was panicking. So I call Untung, and he's always there. He has staff, and he's always busy. And he's a Chinese Indonesian from Java. With tech stuff, I'm always happy to work with a Chinese Indonesian. Just, one of my many prejudices. He's really efficient. He's not like Balinese at all. He's, I have a friend that wrote a book on Hong Kong, and he reminds me of some of the Chinese he describes there. Untung will never admit he's wrong. I just know. And if there's any problem, it's my fault, or it just absolutely will not admit he's wrong. And that's just not at all like Balinese. I mean, you wouldn't even get it at that point. They're a little more like Japanese, just really smooth, but they're more santai, more relaxed, cool. They're like cool. The Japanese are more formally smooth. All right. Anyway, so I call Untung up, and bang, he sends a new mouse over to me. After a while, I called him and I said, where's the mouse? He said, well, we didn't have that color. I have to get it. I said, Untung, I do not care about color. He said, well, I have a red one. Send it. All right. Bang. Well, he said, I don't have any staff. They can't come over to 3. I said, well, just send it anyway, because there's all these delivery people here. Go, Jack. Motorcycle delivery, motor scooter, really. Sort of big motor scooters. So he did. And he called me, he said, they're on the way. I paid the Gojek. It's just unbelievably cheap. It's shockingly cheap. I've told you that. I told you some stuff about that earlier, if you heard it. So anyway, I got my mouse after a while. In the meantime, I always keep 2 laptops. I have to have it because I am completely computer bound. I am enslaved to the digital world. I work hours and hours every day with it. My other computer's, God, I don't know how old it is. It's like 8 years old or something. It's slow. It's an Asus. They're both Asuses. It's sort of slow, but it has everything this one does, so I could get going. So the other one came, so I got going. But anyway, and then, no charge then. And then today, and I know his staff people, staff person came by, gave me the bill, and I paid it, and I gave him the old mouse. I said, if it can be fixed, great. If it can't, it's a present to you and to. I know it's not good taste to talk about money, but that's really an important part of living here, is the cost of living. If it was in America, in most places, I would have to get in my car, go to a store, get a new mouse, and if I wanted to see if that one could be fixed, well. When I live in the Santa Rosa area, there's the Computer Recycling Center, which is just a fantastic place that's really very economic and extremely good. Just highly recommend them. But and I have used them a lot. But otherwise, I have to go somewhere, and to get something fixed there, it's like not that easy. Well, here there's you can get things fixed if it's fixable. So I don't think a mouse probably wouldn't do it. But anyway, the whole cost of all that to get that mouse and like zip coming over, and was like 270,000 rupiah. It's less than $20. And it's a good mouse. Anyway, just wanted to give you a little picture of that. So that was my accident and the accident report this week. I wanted to say something about the 6 places where I work. So the bed, and I sit up. I don't lie, I sit up, with my legs crossed. But I can, since I'm in the bed, if I get tired of that, I can stick them straight out. And or the sati out on the porch, and also the outdoors, the Bali, which is like a traditional staging area. I have a place to sit there. Every place I sit, I can cross my legs or put them down, except on the Bali, that's just sitting. And I have a nice big, like, zabutan, a cushion to sit on, and I have like a zafu there. Sometimes I'll sit zazen there, but I don't sit on the zafu if I'm working. I sit on something, much, that's only like 2 inches above the zabutan. And I have a nice little rattan table there I had the local rattan store make. It was, anyway, that's the 3rd place. Then the 4th is on the couch in the living dining area, the family area. And I love to work on couches. And the settee outside is sort of like a couch. It's more firm. And it's a traditional carved piece of furniture here. Then right now I'm sitting at a table where I record, which is the dining table, which I can use because Katrinka's not here. I have this special rattan chair here so I can have my legs up or down. And then upstairs, I have a desk up there. I do not use much. And it has an old wide screen there that I can plug into and have a big screen. And I can sit there at that desk. Again, another chair just like this one. And sometimes actually there's a 7th place. I'll go into the guest bedroom and sit on the bed. That's unusual. I might do that if Katrinka's meeting with somebody here and they need to be alone. So I love, mainly I just use half of those areas, but I love it. Oh, no, there's another one. There's a settee upstairs, and every once in a while I sit on it. So that's 8 places, right? Very rarely, but when I do, it has this cozy feeling. Oh, it's so neat to be here. And, there's a 9th place, because there's a little porch upstairs with one of these wide chairs. So I can sit there, and we very rarely go out there, but it's sort of fun. I'm going to go out there and read. It's sort of funny having all these places. And I have, cables, power, the electrical cords. They call them cobble here. The electric cords for the laptop. I have 3 of them in the main 3 places I use. so I don't have to be moving cords around. And one thing that reminds me of is the cat, because the cat likes to. I'll find Coochie in different little nooks and crannies and up high places where you think, how did she get there? And under things and in boxes and, taking a nap or just hanging out. Or on the roof next door, the wall, all sorts of places. She likes to be in all sorts of different places. Bandi a little bit, but not much. Okay, so that's enough of the my own personal life in Bali experience. And of course, it could be anywhere, except, well, it could be in any number of other places, except for, well, I don't know. And we couldn't live like this in any Western country or Australia or something, unless we had some special arrangement or something, which, man, I have had a number of very nice special arrangements. And maybe another one will happen. Otherwise, we'll live in a cardboard box on Market Street in San Francisco. And maybe you'll pass by and be kind to us and remember us and, drop a little something in the hat I'm holding out. Now that we are through with all that nonsense, there's part 2 of phone chat with Moneyya. Now, when we left Moneyya last week, Bhikkhu Moneyya, Bhikkhu is monk. When we last left Moneyya, Bhikkhu Moneyya, he had just arrived in Bali for the first time. And so that's where it takes off from there. And at the very end, he will read a quite nice poem that he wrote. So here we go with Bhikkhu Moneyya.
So at that point, we left Philippines and went to Bali.
What year?
And stayed there about 7 years ago, so 8 years ago. No, yeah, about 8 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So that would about 2012, 2013.
Uh-huh.
I'm not so good with dates, but something around there.
Yeah.
And I met a doctor there who did ozone. And I was told about it. That's why we went to Bali. A nice guy, Chinese Balinese, and he started giving me ozone treatments, and the MRSA cleared up. So that was a really good thing for me. It was a breakthrough. And then I spent more time in Bali, and I worked with one of the teachers here, Murta Ada. He helped me out a lot when I came back. I actually stayed at his meditation center for about a year. Did a lot of retreats with him, and Murta Ada does something called health meditation. It's primarily based on like the Buddhist teachings, but although he incorporates certain Hindu concepts. And in Bali, of course, you know yourself that Balinese Hinduism is strongly influenced by Buddhism. So they call it here, they actually call it Hindu Dharma or Shiva Buddha. So, which is interesting because you see some temples with both. But anyways, I've been here now off and on, and now living with a Balinese family out in the village, not too far from where you are, Sanur, and you've been to my house once.
You're in Batu Bulan.
Batu Bulan, yeah. And it's very nice.
Yeah.
I love being with the Balinese. I love the Balinese people. especially in the Banjar, in the villages where everything is like family. It's like it used to be in the old days, in some of the old, maybe in Italy and some of the old Italian communities. And I'm sure in all the countries that have an ancient culture, if you go back enough, there was a strong family tie there. And there's in the villages of Bali, the culture encourages that. They all participate in monthly meetings, just like the Sangha does, just like the Bhikkhu Sangha. It's really similar in some ways. They have that close community here, and I appreciate that. Although I have to admit, here, as much as I love Bali and the people and everything about it, I miss living in a monastery. And I don't have a lot of experience with different monasteries. I've been to a few in Sri Lanka, which I liked a lot. And of course, and as you know, one of my poems is based on my experience at that monastery, which hopefully I'll have the time to recite. But yeah, I love Bali. But for me, I'm not at a point where I can live on my own and keep the kind of practice that I had when I was at the monastery, which was like, at one point I was meditating 12 hours a day and doing 2 hours of yoga a day. And that was like a high point for me, and I kind of never quite got back to that because the second time I went to Bali, I was already, my hip had been really weakened by the job I had, because I'd broken my hip twice, or actually a subcapital fracture. And right now, I mean, if a doctor looks at my hip, they say, how are you walking without a hip replacement? But I never had hip replacement for 22 years. And probably yoga helped a lot, and the fact that I'm vegetarian and I'm thin.
You're not vegetarian. You're vegan. You're vegan.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I'm not going to complain if somebody gives me if I eat a piece of toast and it might have a little butter on it. I don't get too worked up on that, but basically, yeah, I'm more comfortable as a vegan. Yeah, that's true.
You're one of the strictest vegans I've ever known. And how long have you been a vegan?
About 52 years now. No, sorry. I've been a vegetarian 52 years. Now, that's an interesting story in itself, how I became a vegetarian, but maybe another time.
All right, tell us.
Yeah. Well, I was working in Switzerland. I got a job in a butcher shop. And that was in 1968. And I thought, well, they invited me. I became friends with with my boss there in the butcher shop. This was in a department store, the butcher department. He said, "Why don't you?" We had some common friendship because we were both wrestlers. He was a wrestler, so I went. I did some workouts at his place, and he invited me to come to the slaughterhouse and see what it was like. I said, "Okay, sure." So I went there and I saw them kill a cow and a horse, and something, I don't know, man, it really, really turned me off. I was disgusted, to see them shooting the cow in the brain and the horse in the brain, and then cutting the throat and then putting a hook through the leg and pulling it upside down and all the blood gushing out. And I tried for the rest of my time in Switzerland to become a vegetarian. I tried for a while, but I kept losing weight and getting sicker and sicker. I was already pretty spaced out from all the drugs I'd done. And then I thought, well, to be a vegetarian means to eat cake and ice cream. And I know that's not the case now. That's not such a good diet if you're a vegetarian. But I thought that back in those days, I thought, well, what else do you do if you're a vegetarian? You eat cake and ice cream. So,
oh gosh.
I eventually I couldn't do it. When I got back, I remember one time I was working at a factory in downtown Cleveland, and I'd eat lunch there every day, and downtown Cleveland. And one day I remember I went in this 6 months later, after I came back from Switzerland. I was eating lunch there, and I ordered some liver. And I was cutting the liver with a knife, And as I cut it, I saw these like veins running through the liver. I know if you eat liver, you see something like a vein running through it. It's not blood, but I don't know what, like a liver vessel. And I picked it up and I looked at it with my fork. And then suddenly I realized that I was eating the liver of a once living animal. It just hit me so hard. I couldn't put it in my mouth. So I put the fork and with the liver back down on my plate. I paid and I walked out. I never had a desire to eat a piece of meat in my life.
Yeah, what year was that?
68.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, one time somebody talked me into eating fish. He said, "You've got to eat it. You've got to eat it. You've got to get your protein." So I said, "Okay, I'll try it." But then, after a while, I did it for about 4 or 5 days. I didn't feel good. One time, I think I was meditating. Was I dreaming or something? But I felt like fish were swimming in my veins. I said, "I don't want this anymore." So I stopped. I'm very happy being a vegetarian. At this point, I can't even stand the smell of animals, dead animals, like fish,
right,
or chicken or meat. I mean, it disgusts me. You know, I get sick if I smell it. The only thing that smells worse to me is like chemical perfumes. And that's the result of my business. You know, my business, my carpet cleaning business, where I used all these chemicals. Now I can't stand the smell of those.
I understand.
Natural flowers, but
yeah.
So
I want to ask you one question related to veganism.
Yeah.
At what point did you have a cat that was sick?
Oh yeah, that was in Rochester, New York. I had this cat that I loved. I mean, the cat was like my son. We had some kind of spiritual connection with each other. I found him these, I think called Lollipop Farm, where they would put cats and kill them. And suddenly I was going to buy this other cat. And suddenly this cat started crying.
Wait.
And crawled up the cage. It was like crying to me, like saying to me, "Please take me, please take me." So I got this cat instead. We called him Satchidananda, named after our teacher, Swami Satchidananda. Satchidananda is existence, knowledge, bliss. So that was my cat, Sachi. And he was the coolest cat you could imagine. He never scratched anybody. He never complained. And eventually, and he was just a great cat. Never made any demands from anybody. He was like a prince among cats. I mean, there are a lot of. He had a better character than probably most people. Sorry to say that, but he was just a prince among cats.
Yeah.
And one day he got sick. He got feline leukemia. I said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" So I made this concoction out of grated raw zucchini and fresh egg yolks. And I started feeding it to him, and he recovered.
Oh,
eventually.
So it wasn't vegan. It was.
No, it wasn't vegan. I don't know about a vegan.
Ovo-vegetarian. Ovo-vegetarian.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible a cat could be vegan. I don't know, but ours was, So I gave him that, and he got to be a very big cat. He was a huge cat and very beautiful.
That's great.
Actually, I brought him down to the ashram with me, and he lived there. And I remember one time I went for a meditation retreat and came back, and he'd been killed. And I actually went into mourning. It was really a profound.
He'd been killed. He'd been killed.
Yeah, he'd been hit by a car. Got hit by a car.
Oh.
So I went into mourning. I mean, I never thought I went into mourning over my father. That was just something I didn't think of. But here was a cat. I went into mourning over him. I mean, it's just like I felt like I'd lost my son. So, I mean, if you're a Buddhist, you can understand this, how we have this kind of relationship with all beings. I mean, it's a little bit difficult for me to understand, to feel the same thing with ants and mosquitoes, but maybe some people can. But certainly with it, I did, and I try. I have to be honest with you, sometimes it's difficult for me with mosquitoes and ants. I'm talking about the biting kind. And but as a monk, you know, we our obligation, our responsibility is not to kill other beings. So it gets a little bit tricky if your house is, if you get infested with lice, or your house is or like your house something. What are you going to do if you're a monk? But still, you know, that's our vow. I mean, sometimes we fall short. I mean, I have fallen short plenty of times. But at least I've never committed a parajika. Parajika means if you do it, you're finished as a monk. Although I have to admit, there's been times I've been tempted, especially living in Bali.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want to do it because I value being a bhikkhu. I honor it. I honor my teacher. I honor what it means to be a bhikkhu, and I honor morality, you know, which is something that a lot of people nowadays have forgotten. You know, they think about money, they think about fame, but they don't think about morality, you know, the beauty of morality. They look for physical beauty, but they don't see the beauty of morality. You know. So anyways, I don't know what else to tell you about. So I spent many years there, and I go ahead. Question if you.
You were saying you had many years there. Where were you talking about them?
Well, 7 years total with.
In Burma.
I got. Yeah, one moment. Let me see if I can stop this noise. Somebody looks like they're using a saw here.
It's all right. We can live with it.
Let me go in another room or something.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it stopped.
Yeah. It's all right.
Sorry about that. We're doing some work now here on the house. So,
don't worry about it.
Right now, I'm going to put in one final plug for a woman. There is one woman I have to tell you that I really love, and I mean, maybe this is a confession as a monk. Can you still hear me?
Where are you? Wait.
I'm hiding in the bathroom now.
Can you hear me? Can you get out of there?
Okay. Then there's going to be the sound of the saw.
I'd rather have the saw. It's too echoey.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to go in the back. It'll be quieter there. Just give me a minute. Opening the door, walking out the door. Under the sky with a slight drizzle. And going up into my palace on the roof.
Yeah.
Which is a ballet or a gazebo made out of bamboo and straw roof. And I usually sleep here at night outside. That way I can wake up in the morning and meditate. And okay, here I am. How's it sound now?
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you a question. Tell about the book that you were. I mean, that you were involved at this point at a couple of books in your life. One is the book you helped your wife with, and you didn't give yourself any credit when you were telling us about it. Oh yeah, you translated it. That was credit. All right. The other thing
I translated it. And I basically edited it and rewrote parts of it.
Yeah.
Major parts of it were rewritten. Yeah. But I never wanted any credit for it because it's my wife's work. It's her life work, and I honor that. And I will always support her with that work. Yeah. You know, I really honor what she's been doing. Okay. Finish.
Tell about the book you did, and incidentally, it's on Quk.com on your page, Bhikkhu Moneyya, Moneyya. The book that you did for the monastery in Burma.
Yeah, that's called Knowing and Seeing. Teaching and Training. Knowing and Seeing is Pawat's book, Pawat Sayadaw's book. And people got that book, and they found it was a difficult book to start with because it contains a lot of Abhidhamma and some pretty detailed stuff. And I'm just not so good at that. And So I thought, geez, it would be great if people had something when they came to the monastery. It was like an introduction to Buddhism, to Theravada Buddhism, especially the way it's taught at Pawat Monastery, which pretty much follows the Visuddhimagga and the path of purification. So, and also there was some practical stuff that just wasn't available. So I thought, okay, when I came back and I started getting sick, my hip was bothering me, and I found I just couldn't spend so much time meditating anymore because my was degenerated. And when I first came back after my divorce, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna blast through this. I'm gonna sit and sit and sit until I get back to where I was before. And but first of all, the divorce had some pretty devastating psychological effect on me. It made it really difficult to concentrate my mind. And secondly, the move and the business that we had together for about a year had really taken its toll on my hip, because my hip was already in pretty bad shape. I mean, doctors said that I needed a hip replacement. I've never had one, but
They said back then that you needed a hip replacement.
yeah, back then, that was 20 years ago. The doctor said, you need a hip replacement, and I never had one. So I was sitting, too. I was sitting for hours. Yeah.
You're known around Sanur because how much you have walked everywhere.
Yeah, I walk everywhere.
If I'm trying to tell some local person or an expat here who you are, I say, he's the tall guy in orange robes that you see. Oh, the one we see walking around with the shaved head. Yeah. So you've done pretty well with your hip because you've walked a lot and you swim a lot. You and I have gone swimming a lot.
I want to say one thing. I would love to go back to Burma. I would love to be at Pawat Monastery. I just don't know how my body would take it.
Yeah, I don't think you should go back.
Because with that type of life, first of all, my vinaya would be much better. And second of all, I would have the supportive atmosphere where I could really get back into my meditation again.
Yeah, I think it'd kill you.
In a concentrated, consistent way. But I'm just not sure how my body would handle it. I'm almost 74 now. And, another month I'll be 74. And 22 years now, my hip has been kind of going downhill. But I can still walk. And it doesn't seem to be getting a lot of, if I do a meditation retreat, and like a few years ago, I sat one time for like 3.5 hours. After that, my hip was in pretty bad shape. So I cannot push it like that anymore.
You've done a lot of meditation retreats here. You just did a Vipassana one with the woman Santini.
Yeah.
That
Santini,
I was with, and hers are really tough. And what was it, about 12 days?
Yeah, 11, 12 days. Yeah, it's good. I liked it, but it was tough. It was tough for me because I was sick at the time. I had actually a really bad flu and a cough. I was coughing up a lot of phlegm. And this is just an aside, but I had the same flu and this was several months ago I did this. I had the same, so before the whole coronavirus thing came up. But I had the same flu a couple months before that, and it took me weeks and weeks to get over. Like 3 weeks to get over it. And this time I decided, okay, I'm just gonna fast. So and this was a tough retreat to be fasting at. But all I did was I ate nothing but fresh fruit, except no bananas, avocados, or durian. And I love durian, but all those fruits are a little bit heavy, So I didn't do those fruits, but I did a lot of lemon and ginger drinking with was it lemongrass? That was the juice they gave me the tea every day. And then I only ate fresh fruit. And in 5 days, completely cleared up. I was amazing. I was weak, but all the snot and the green phlegm coming out of my throat, completely gone in 5 days.
Wow.
And then I was still a little weak, and I figure that if people did something like that, they could go a long way to healing. Of course, coronavirus, I don't know, it might be a totally different animal. It is, because first of all, it's a virus. But I'm not so scared of it because I believe that, if we take care of our body, I mean, look, the people who are dying are mainly the ones who are already immune compromised and
Yeah.
older
Hey,
people. I'm getting off on a tangent. Go ahead. You ask your questions. I'll answer them.
yeah. Well, so your spiritual path, which is really great, has brought you here. Now, when you were
That's
in
right.
Sri Lanka, brought you to this point. When you were in Sri Lanka, what was that? A year ago?
Yeah. About.
You were in
Yeah.
a
Oh, right. Yeah,
huh?
and a monastery called Pogasawita, and that's
Uh-huh.
outside of Colombo, about 30-minute drive or so. And
And
I like the people there. Bante Venita, I think, is the abbot there. I like him, and I just, you know, I really respect the monks, the bhikkhus,
yeah.
and I spent some time there, and I enjoyed it. And I was there for Katina, which is the offering of the robes. I happened to, although I missed the time for. I'm forgetting. Give me a minute. Let me catch my mind. I need to do some deep breathing and a little mind control to get my memory back here. Yeah. For Wasa, for the 3-month Wasa, I missed the 3-month Wasa there. Sorry, already got off on a tangent. I missed the 3-month Wasa, but I made it there after Wasa, and I was there for Katina when the people, they offer the robes. The lay people make robes, and they offer them to the monks as a kind of offer, as a gesture of gratitude. And also it kind of creates this bond between the monk community and the lay community, the Sangha and the lay community, which is really significant, important. So this is like a high time for that bond to be made, and a very important time. And the other thing, of course, is the offering of food, that the lay people would always come. And I really, in Sri Lanka especially, there's something about the lay people. They really, of course, I don't know too much about Thailand or some of the other countries. It may be the same, but especially I found in Sri Lanka, the lay people are really exceptional. They offer so much support for the bhikkhus. It's really a beautiful thing.
How long were you there?
Last time about 3 months, but I've
Yeah.
been there for a total of about a year and a half
Yeah.
in Sri Lanka. I've been at several different monasteries.
You were pretty weak
And
when you came back.
yeah, well, not the weakest. Like I said, when I left Burma, 2007 to go to Australia, I could barely walk at that
Yeah. You
point.
weren't on death's doorstep like after Burma, but I remember
Yeah,
you were
Burma was
pretty
tough.
weak. You had to recover. You have to any retreat like the Vipassana retreat you went to. You had to recover from it too, a little bit.
Yeah, but not. It's only
Not like
10, 11 days.
so.
Yeah.
While you were there, you wrote. Bandi is protecting us from something out there.
Yeah, right. That's what I say.
What
I say the Ogo is protecting us from coronavirus.
the Ogo? Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah,
tell them
yeah.
what that is.
Coronavirus is afraid of the Ogo.
Tell them what Ogo is. I'll let you do that.
Well, you probably know better than I do. It's these kind of like paper mache statues that are made of like demons and yakas and rakshasas, both male and female, and they're in very interesting postures. And there's a special time, I guess, in Kuningan. Is it before or after? Kuningan is a holiday here in Bali where they bring everybody brings out and they goes on the parades with the Ogo.
No, that's not for Kuningan. That's I don't know the name of it. It's the night before Nyepi, when it goes dark here.
Yeah. Anyways, these are some interesting kind of specifically actually Balinese, distinctively Balinese holidays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I but it's more of a joke than anything else about the Ogo. But still, I mean, I like these kind of things, and I mean, there's a lot of interesting traditions here, which are unusual, not typically Indian, but specifically Balinese. And people who are here begin to, as you live here, you find out about it. And that's one of the things I like about Bali. It's a very unique, but has a very strong influence from Buddhism, especially in regards to karma, or kama, as we would say, in Theravada Buddhism.
Yeah, but they're Sanskrit based here, so they say karma.
Karma, right. But everybody, even the most illiterate, uneducated Balinese, know about the law of karma. Everybody knows about the law of karma.
Well, it's Hindu too. It's not just Buddhist. It comes from Hinduism.
Yeah. But I think Buddha. Yeah, it's true. But I think Buddhism is more, gets into more detail about karma, and there's more emphasis on karma, because Hindu also has the emphasis on various gods and goddesses, and Hindu is a very vast religion. It's like a religion with many tributaries. But Buddhism is a very more focused. I mean, Buddhism is very focused on the Four Noble Truths and anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, and non-self. I mean, if you want to know what are some of the basic, and of course, the other aspect would be causation. But paticca samuppada, which is causation, the chain of causation. If you know those basic things, and karma is very much a part of causation, they're related, strongly related. And sila, samadhi, and panya, you basically know that the foundation and the basic structure of Buddhism. So it's not as vast as Hinduism. It's much more focused, and very much of a systematic, very systematic. And what else would I say? Not only systematic, but I can't remember now what I was going to say. But anyways, Buddhism is different than Hinduism in that way. It doesn't. It respects the nature deities and gods, even the highest gods. Buddhism has high respect for them, but it doesn't worship them. It doesn't look to them for enlightenment. It looks, ultimately, I think if you're a Buddhist, one moment. If you're a Buddhist, you have to look to yourself, and ultimately, if you look to the Buddha, it should be primarily as an example. Of course, the Buddha set a noble example for all of us, and we should try to follow that example. But that doesn't mean we're going to. We have to make the effort. So, anyways, go ahead.
I want to say one thing about Hindus. See, I think of Hinduism as Advaita Vedanta. And I think of Hinduism as the Upanishads. And
that's part
and
of it,
it's much more like Buddhism, and
yes, true.
But when you were in Sri Lanka, you wrote a poem, and I was wondering if you wrote more than one poem there, but if you would read.
I've written several poems there, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. If you would.
Okay. Now, I think I can go back downstairs, or unless because I need to get the poem. It's a long poem. I can't remember it all.
Yeah,
and,
you can go downstairs and get it and come back up, whatever you want.
I think the sawing has stopped, so I can go back down and into my shelter, my cave. Although it's very inspiring being up here, because I'm back out in the drizzle now. So one moment. Going down my spiral staircase. Remember a movie called The Spiral Path or something like that?
It sounds familiar. Okay. Spiral Staircase, I think.
I don't think so. Spiral something or other, about some guy living in Africa, and he's very, very self-confident, and then he goes into the jungle living alone, and the African natives are, doing their black, kind of like their voodoo on him, and finally he realizes he has some kind of a realization, and changes his outlook on life, becomes more humble, and faith, which a lot of people don't get it, that Buddhism is also a religion of humility and faith. Faith is very important in Buddhism. So, okay, I'm down and clearing my throat and getting ready. Let me see if I find it here. Okay, so maybe before I read the poem, I'm gonna give you a little bit of information for those who are not what would you say, conversant with some of these terms. Katina is a major Buddhist festival which comes at the end of Vasa, the annual 3-month rainy season retreat for Theravada Buddhists. So this is the offering of the robes. Okay? And then a naga is a large and powerful serpent-like creature. Sometimes depicted as a dragon, which has the ability to transform its appearance into that of a human. In Buddhist literature, the term naga is sometimes used as a metaphor for a great or enlightened being. Yeah. Okay? And then the Dhamma Hall, I guess, I think for most of your listeners, that would be pretty obvious, Dhamma Hall, or Dharma Hall. Because Dharma and Dhamma are really the same. One's Pali, the other is Sanskrit. Yeah. Devas, we all know what devas are. They're angels, are heavenly beings. Arya Sangha means the Sangha of enlightened monks. Arya Sangha. Blessed One is an appellation for the Buddha, another name for the Buddha. And that's about it. Okay. Okay, now, give yourself a moment of silence while I go and relieve myself, and then I will come back for the recitation. Okay?
Will do.
One moment. Okay. Are you there, David?
Yep.
Hello. Okay?
Yep.
You can hear me okay?
Yep.
One moment. Okay. This is dedicated to the bhikkhus which bhikkhus means monks of Pogasowita. That's the name of the monastery. And it's called Katina in Sri Lanka. With robes the color of jackfruit and mahogany, draped upon our aging bodies, we stand single file, silent and anonymous, awaiting the inevitable. With the crack of wood on wood thunder, our line comes to life, like some giant naga, roused from its slumber, and snakes its way along the path to the Dhamma Hall. Today is Katina, the annual offering of robes to the monks, and many families have come to join in the celebration. For them, it is a time for making merit and reconnecting to their Buddhist roots. For the children, however, it is a time of discovery, of giving and receiving, when the old is replaced by the new. As usual, more girls have come than boys. Girls with dark skin and nubile bodies, coaxed by their parents up to the seated monks in the Dhamma Hall. One of them, with the help of her mother, cautiously approaches the chair I am seated in and reaches out to me with her first katina robe as I extend my arms to accept her offering. Her coal-black eyes shine like burning embers, the wick of an all-consuming glory, flickering in the consciousness of the moment, casting shadows of a distant time when Devas descended from the heavens to pay homage to the Arya Sangha, with the Blessed One at its head. Year after year, they come and make their offerings as the supple lines of breast and hip grow more pronounced, evoking the roundness of ripe pomegranates bursting with their red seeds. The flames grow brighter, curves become shooting stars. The branches bend ever so slightly, heavy with the burgeoning fruit of the season's bounty. Yet all too soon the season ends, for buried deep within the flesh of every fruit lies the seeds of future change, of increase followed by decrease, as gravity takes its toll on the physical frame. The breasts sag, the belly distends, the hips widen. Gone is the lilt and bounce, the spark that lit uncounted fires, long forgotten, yet burning still in the memory banks of time. So too, our old robes wear out, but each year new ones are sewn and offered to the Sangha. This year, I returned to Sri Lanka just in time for Katina. Withered and hunched, with faltered step, an old lady approaches the row of seated monks in the Dhamma hall, unable to lift the heavy burden of her offering alone. With the help of her son, she extends her arms toward me as I reach out to accept the freshly sewn robe. Suddenly, I see the same young girl that I saw so many years ago on this very same day. The same purity, the same innocence, the same wonderment and devotion. But her eyes no longer shine like burning embers, and everything about her seems to have turned a shade of gray. Soon there will be many tears, but not from her eyes. The ashes will be collected and placed in urns, are scattered on the ocean waves. Later that same day, a young girl, with the help of her mother, approaches the row of seated monks to make her first katina offering. Her coal-black eyes shine like burning embers, but her features are shrouded in a mist, which seems to hang in the air, veiling the entire Dhamma hall. Beyond that veil, 1,000 eyes stare back at me, all of them asking the same question. I think back to the time of the great ascetic monk, Mahakassapa, who kept the same robe for more than 80 years, a true benchmark if there ever was one. It was the last robe to ever cover the nakedness of his 120-year-old body. But what would you do if you'd been offered a robe by the Buddha? Anyway, I am not Mahakassapa, and this old robe, faded and threadbare as it is, and coming apart at the seams, has been my home and second skin for more than 17, or is it 70, years, and is in sad need of a replacement. That's it, December 2018, Sri Lanka, Pogasawita Aranya. Okay, David, you got it.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think at this point we should say goodbye. I'll get you back to read some more poems later. The animals have been sitting below me, staring at me because it is their dinner time.
Okay,
and,
you go feed them.
Yeah, this has been good. Really appreciate it.
Just one final note. Recently, they have birds here in cages. One of the birds got out, and this bird has been living here, free on its own, in one of the trees. And every day, Wayan, the owner of the house, feeds the bird, and the bird comes and he sings for us, or she. I don't know. So it's so nice. I love that connection with nature, and you really feel that to a greater extent in Bali. And I hope everybody gets the opportunity to feel that beautiful connection with nature, because it's a wonderful opportunity. Even if you just have a pet, it's nice to feel that connection.
Yeah.
We're all in it together, right, brother?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
See you
Very
next
good.
time.
Yeah. You take
Okay.
care. We'll be in
You
touch.
too. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Goodbye.
All right. Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you, Bhikkhu Moneyya. I wanted him to reread the poem because what he did was he put his phone down. And I should tell people that it's better if they don't use speakerphone. It's the best thing if they have, a little mic thing or earplugs or something. But I forget. And it's not that bad. It's pretty close to, like if you're using an iPhone, just speaking in it. But what he did was he put it down on the table to read so he could hold the book up. So I called him up and wanted to have him reread it. But he had a cough and was very hoarse. He said it's not the coronavirus. And I said, it's been nice knowing you. And later he said, hey, I guess I can't come visit, huh? I said, no. And because he lives way out in the country and doesn't have contact with Westerners much at all. He doesn't live way out. He lives 30 minutes away. Okay, so thanks a lot, Moneyya. Now, you can learn more about Moneyya by going to cuke.com and writing Moneyya in the site search box. Dwing. Or you can go to people and the drop down, hit names, and then do a page search for Moneyya. Page search, Control F in a PC or Command F in a Mac. If we mentioned two books. You can read both of them online. I don't know. I don't think I have the final. Moneyya's Chronicles is a book you can order or buy, and I don't think I have it online right now. Maybe I have an older version of it, but it's got color pictures done in Bali, and some of them he had specially done for the book. And there's both some traditional type pictures, and there's some more modern type pictures. It's really a lovely little book, and it's published by Cuke Press. So check it out. Moneyya Chronicles, Musings, I can't remember the subtitle, of a monk. Okay. This has been another episode of Life in Bali. I'm DC, the Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives. Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to help us continue here, just go to cuke.com, and on the home page there's a little donate link. You can hit it. It's near the top and it's at the bottom. or on the Cuke Audio Podbean page, there's a link to it too. One can contribute by check to a post office box in America or with PayPal. And of course, we have PayPal subscriptions, and you can do that for as little as $1 a month and help us keep going with life in Bali and reading Crooked Cucumber and commenting on it. And the mini podcasts right now going through Zen is right here. Teaching stories and anecdotes of Shunryu Suzuki. And then there's the other work in Cuke archives, dealing with daily requests, posting Shunryu Suzuki lecture excerpts daily, except Sunday, and other relevant posts on Cuke What's New blog, and there's Cuke Nonsense blog, where I'll post about, what's happening in Bali here, or climate change, a lot of stuff on climate change. Just working on the archive, and I'm working on a new book called Tassajara Stories. But got a lot going, and want to keep it going. Takes time, takes money, and it's really easy to contribute. And there's a pretty big bang for the buck in your contribution because we live rather simply and frugally here in Bali. Okay, thanks a lot. Take care. And here's wishing you and all of us a grand awakening.